Let's look at some of the articles here that's come out. Iran strikes seem intended to avoid U.S. deaths. Here's what some of the so-called pundits think. They don't have any sense either. This is an analysis by some guy named Nick Peyton Walsh, whoever he is. He's some sort of a international security editor for CNN, and he datelines this from Beirut, Lebanon. Is it perhaps the most brazen attack Iran has launched against the United States in 4 decades of simmering covert and overt conflict? The timing, the target, the threats of heavy retaliation already locked and loaded as President Trump would have had it. Yet Wednesday morning's missile strike against Al-Asad Air Base and Erbil Airport, both of which play host to U.S. troops, were clearly not an act designed to kill most Americans, possibly. Iran will have known that the troops are normally asleep in the early hours of the morning. Choosing to attack then likely minimize the number of personnel roaming around the base who could be killed or injured. It was also, I don't understand that process. That's not really the smart part, because if they're all in the barracks, you got them all together. If they're running around, there's less in them. It's a stupid idea. It would also have known that the U.S. has a strong air defense system that would have been on high alert. Tehran should have a grasp of how well its missiles would fare against such technology. The missile attacks don't make sense if Tehran's goal was to really hurt U.S. troops in large numbers, as some had been pledging to do. That ain't what they wanted to do. Listen, the boys in Iran, Hagar's boys, ain't gonna give Trump what he wants. Trump wants blood running in the streets of the Middle East and America so he can become president again. Mr. Engineer, let's see what the pundits have had to say on CNN about this strike that was attended. Looked like they tried to avoid U.S. deaths. You don't fire missiles and at the time you don't want to kill anybody. Why would you fire missiles in the first place? Mr. Engineer, let's run it. This ain't making any sense about these crazy people on CNN. Run clip number 1, Mr. Engineer.
It is daybreak in Iraq right now. They've had a chance to assess the damage at these 2 air bases. What are you learning, Arwen?
Well, at this stage, they are saying that there are also no casualties on the Iraqi side. What we heard from the Prime Minister's office, and this is really the first sort of senior government response to this that we're getting, is that they received official verbal warning shortly past midnight and then communicated that to their commanders on the ground, keeping in mind that these bases are joint bases. There are joint command centers that are shared among the Iraqi, U.S., and other coalition forces. The attack happening just over an hour and a half after that initial message was delivered. The message not specifying where the attack would be taking place, but saying that it would be specifically against U.S. military targets. The Ministry of Defense is saying that 22 strikes took place, 17 of those against the Al-Asad Air Base, 5 of those against the Erbil location where you have the U.S. military and other forces as well. What we are now hearing, however, from one of the more prominent Shia paramilitary groups here, one of the groups that is quite notorious for its ability to carry out attacks against U.S. Forces, is that was Iran's response. What we saw happening overnight, that is how Tehran was responding to this. They are saying that there is going to be an Iraqi response as well, and that it will be in kind to the Iranian one. After this attack, there were Apache helicopters overhead. There were drones that the U.S. launched as well in all of its locations. This is still a region that is on high alert, that is still very much a country that is on high alert, because let's not forget, you still have this demand coming from Iraqi Shia parliamentarians following that vote that took place to expel foreign forces. This demand that is also coming from Iran, from its proxies on the ground, that American and foreign forces are no longer welcome here, Allison.
There are a couple of things. I want to reserve a caveat here. We've not heard officially whether there were casualties or not. Let's caveat that. And with the Trump administration, they are deceitful, they are liars, they hide the truth. There could have been 100 soldiers killed in the Erbil Ab base, but the Trump administration has not released that information. That's how they are. You know that's how they are. They are wicked. I mean, they are liars. And Trump has been able to take people who, these Japheth boys like Mike Pompeo and all these other members of his cabinet, who they've always been wicked, evil people from day one, from the day they came out between their mother's feet. But they have been constrained. But Trump has made them go buck naked, crazy, wicked. So we don't really know. We don't really know that there have not been any casualties. And if they have, and Trump has decided we ain't telling. We ain't telling what we lost. We ain't gonna let the American people know, like he holds back all other information as executive president. Hell, Trump's the kind of megalomaniac that wouldn't even tell us if somebody was killed. That's the kind of fool he is. And that's the kind of psychopaths, fools he's got following him. He wouldn't even tell you. That's possible. Come on now, it's possible. He won't tell you. He won't tell you that they were. I don't know that they were. I'm just simply telling you what I know about him and about the people that follow him. This is a bit of a news blog we do, looking at spiritual wickedness in high places for the most part, making some observations about it and giving people a biblical foundation to the way of interpreting, rather than have Sean Hannity or Laura Ingraham or Janine Pirro or Anderson Cooper or Rachel Maddow or Don Lemon, Rush Limbaugh interpret what's going on in the world. You come to me and I'll tell you based on what the Word of God says. They'll just give you their worldly, sinful view. But the Manning Report will tell you what God has said, whether to say yea or nay, whether to go or to stay. You'll be led by the word of Almighty God. Come to the Manning Report on a daily basis to interpret the spiritual wickedness in high places, because there's plenty of it that's going on. And so I'm the Lord's servant, James David Righteous Rebel Manning, and I'm here to serve you with news and information.